Welcome back to another Books and a Beat video.
You in the backyard of your old
Today we are going to be doing a very Speedy Gonzales. She says while she forgets where she puts things. We're going to do an update on my currently reading situation. I say currently reading situation, I mean I can't speak today. I mean I'll be updating you on the books that I've read over the last couple of months. So there are quite a few. Some will be just pictures on the screen, some books will be held up, but yeah, I'm just gonna plop this base on while I talk to you guys. So I didn't do Books and a Beat last month because I overloaded myself with reading and didn't leave myself enough time to film the videos that I wanted to film, because I'm basic like that, obviously. I didn't have a great mental health month last month, which is why I sort of dove headfirst into reading. And then, in case you didn't know, I have an addictive personality and I get hyperfixated on things when I'm having a bad time. So I don't think I showed it all that much. I did put a post up when I went to London because of an incident that happened on the way to the bus station, but for the most part I haven't really mentioned my mental health at all from last month, because I like to keep it positive. I like to keep things moving in a good direction rather than dwelling on me and my problems. So, but it's just a reminder, just check on the friends that are always happy, is all I'm saying, because you never know what's going on behind closed doors. But we move. I'm feeling better. What I'm going to be doing is updating you when I find it on my reading. In September I read 15 books, and I normally do them, or try to do them, in some semblance of an order, but let's be real, probably not going to happen. So in the month of September was Royal Readathon. Oh, okay, so another difference this month is this is not going to be me doing my makeup for the favourite book of the month, because I'm doing 2 months in a row, but also I'm getting ready to film some Vlogmas content for you. So I'm going to tell you about the books I've read while I get ready for filming for Vlogmas. Let's go in order of rating, shall we? We shall. The first book of September with the lowest rating of the month is The One by John Mars. I will link the podcast somewhere around the video for the discussion we had with the lovely Amy from Booktube with Amy. We had so much fun. It was just, I'm so glad that me and Jem started to do the podcast, because we've had the guests we've had on so far and the guests that we're going to be having on, we're so excited to bring into our little podcast world. Yeah, I'm really excited. We were really excited to have Amy on. We had mixed reviews and mixed ratings on this one, ranging from 1 star to was it a 4, I think? Somebody rated it. So to see who rated what, go and check it out. It was a very fun to film, not so fun to edit, because the lovely software we use, the app that we use to film the podcast, decided to not cooperate with us on that particular day. So yeah, the filming of it was fun, the editing and not so much, but yeah, go and have a look at that to get my full thoughts. But the overall thoughts are massive content warnings for this around, if you don't want spoilers, I'll put a spoiler thing here. Massive content warnings around traumatic pregnancies. Yeah, that is all I'm going to say on that one. Just look at I'd say look at the content warnings. There isn't any. To say that this was released not so long ago, I'm surprised it's not mentioned more. I didn't read any reviews before going into this, and as you're probably aware, just by the look of the cover, it's not one that I would normally go for. So this follows a group of people that live in a time where there is this amazing new software that it's kind of like find your ancestry situation, but it's find your one true soulmate. I won't be watching the Netflix adaptation of it if it's anything like the book, because I already visualised some of these scenes in my head. I don't need to see them on screen. The things that were mentioned in the spoilery bit, I don't need to see those on screen. Do you know what I mean? So I have 2 4-star reads for the month of September. One was Knockout by Maya Gold or Mia Gold. This was a pick for a cozy read, a mystery. I think this was for a 12 books, 12 prompts book, because I needed to get a cozy a mystery in. I think, I can't remember, but it was 4 stars. It was really good. The other 4 stars, I do still have the physical copy of this, but I don't have it to hand, so I'm just gonna discuss with you. This is Shadow and Magic by Helena M. Craggs. This is the second book. No, this is the first book. So they are a group of friends who are sort of led by this half demon who just finds himself basically. And I did read Fire and Magic in August. You probably saw the wrap up for that, I think. But you don't have to read these in order, because I didn't. Yeah, this is the first one in that series, and it was very good. It was very good. It got 4 stars because there was some things in it that I just didn't gel with. For instance, the relationships seemed a bit rushed. There was just some ways of wording things I'm not going to mention, because if you're like me and I point it out to you and you notice something, then once I point it out, it's going to annoy me if you read it. So I want people to make their own decisions on whether or not it's something that bothers them. But there were just certain ways of wording things that I didn't really like, and it was a bit annoying. But other than that, it was a really, really good read. Definitely 100% worthy of the 4 stars, in my opinion. And I would definitely reread these books again. And I do have them physically and audibly, so I will be rereading them when I get a chance, once I've got through my epic TBR that is currently ongoing. Okay, it's a process. We're working through it, and we'll work through it together. Okay, and then the rest of the ones that I read in September were all 5 stars. So I can't really complain about 1 3-star and 2 4 stars, can I? Because the rest were just top of their game. So the first one I don't have physically, it is Thursday Murder Club. This was one that I borrowed from my mum when I went over to see her. I've been asking my mum for me to borrow this for ages, and it was one weekend when they were busy doing, I think they were doing the garden or something, and Mum was like, well, we're busy, you can read this. And she was shocked by how quickly I can read. I did get the audiobook to go along with it, and I would highly recommend that. Highly, highly recommend getting the audiobook to go along with it, because at the end of the audiobook there's an interview with Richard Osman, and he explains sort of the reasoning behind doing a book about elderly people. It's a whole thing, and it's so sweet the way that he describes the people that he sort of like based some of these people off. And yeah, it was a really cute interview, so I would highly recommend the audiobook. Know that there is currently on like book 4 or 3 at the moment. I know this. I am way behind. But I wanted to, because again, it's out of my comfort zone, I wanted to read the first one first to see if I actually liked his writing. I know he's a funny guy anyway. I watch Pointless, and I've watched is it House of Games that he hosts? He's so great. He's so funny. And I kind of assumed that that's the kind of take that he would take with his writing. But I wanted to just double check and make sure that that really was the direction he went in. And it was. And it's great. And I will be getting the rest of the books. Plus this one for a copy for myself. And I'll probably get to book 4 before Mum starts book 1, but there we go. Next is an audiobook, which is weird for me, was purely audio because I didn't have the money to get the physical as well. This was gifted to me by the author. I think it was for signing up to his newsletter, but this is Voice of War by Zakar Gail. If you are a high fantasy lover, I 100% recommend this book. It follows about a guy called Chris who has to flee with his family for reasons. They live in a world where you can have brown eyes, which means that you don't have any thread weaving magic, or you have blue eyes for blue threads and green for green threads, emerald and sapphire, and they let you wield different types of magic. They're the 3 types of eye colours that you have until it's not. Until something comes up that means that they have to flee with their child. And this had me gripped from the start. I think I read it in 2 sittings, and I only read it in 2 sittings because I had work. That is legitimately the only reason. I had work and I needed to sleep. If I could have done and given myself enough time, I would have read this in 1 sitting. I can't wait to get to the rest of the series. And I do also have, because I'm part of his newsletter, I get his newsletter, there is also a novella called 5 Silver Rings I want to read this month. Character building, the world building, everything is just top tier. 10 out of 10 do recommend. Everything rolled up in a ball of awesomeness is what Zakar Gail's book is. And I just cannot wait to get to the rest of the series. I'm sure that I'm going to be in for some serious heartbreak at some point. But it is what it is. That's what fantasy is. That's what indie self-published authors like to do to me. But I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm okay. I'm fine, she says as she silently panics. Next, I have the physical copy, but it's over there and I'm over here and it's heavy. So I'm just going to show a picture. It's Of Darkness and Light by Ryan Kyle. Me and my friend Ryan. It's just a masterpiece of pure amazingness. Am I biased because I love his other books? Probably. But even if you look at it from an objective point of view, can you be objective? Probably not. Is the book dedicated to me? Absolutely. And did I cry? Yes, I did. But the actual story starts with a blood and fire. Follows a boy called Kaelin, who doesn't choose the path that he ends up on. And yes, it's the chosen one trope, but it is done in a way that makes it not cheesy. I do like a good trope. Give me a chosen one trope. Give me friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, whatever. But do it well. Write it well. Give me the characters of the world to fall in love with alongside that. And I don't care what trope you use, as long as it's not miscommunication or the pregnancy trope. They would be annoying. But a good trope, and I'll be down all the way. Obviously I can't say much because this is like the 2nd book in the series. Things go down, stuff happens, there's dragons, betrayals, death, and war, and he has merch out. I will leave the links to him back down below. He's very engaging with his audience and his readers and stuff as well. He has his own Discord that he chats to everyone in. He's just a genuinely nice person who is also a great author. So there's that. Next one I do actually have this copy here right in front of me. And are we surprised that I gave Full Metal Alchemist Volume 1 5 stars? No. I'm really gutted that they're taking it off Netflix now, so I can't watch it. I'm annoyed. Very annoyed that I can't watch it on Netflix anymore. This follows 2 brothers, Ed and Alphonse, who are alchemists, which mixes like science with magic, and things have happened when they were younger and they're trying to find a cure for themselves. That's all I'm going to say really. I don't think it ever specifies what age they are. He looks pretty young, but you can never tell with anime what age it's supposed to be because he looks pretty young. It is what it is. There we go. It's great. Volume 1 done. Volume 2 and Volume 3 have been purchased. Volume 4 is going to be on the way from Waterstones shortly, and Volume 5 I do have. So over the next couple of months I will be binging the rest of those. So good. Funky Fine Fresh. Next, I do also have A Curse of Dark and Lonely. I do not know why I've been sleeping on this so long. This is your typical YA, so it's going to be very tropey. It's going to be very very YA, that's all I can say. But this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I read this for the Royal Readathon for one of the prompts. I just loved it. I loved the characters, I loved the world building. I loved how it followed the Beauty and the Beast story, but also did veer off from it with regards to the characters, because I feel like in this, Harper is a bit more feisty than Belle. This also has disability rep in it because Harper has cerebral palsy. I love that little addition to it. She never uses it as a reason not to do something. She is so feisty. She still wants to go out and do the same things that everybody else does, despite her family being quite like mollycoddly a little bit and being like, oh, you can't do that because you've got cerebral palsy, you can't do that. She's like, but I can, I am, and I will succeed. And just that fight in her is just the best. I really do like Ren in this as well. I was unsure about Prince Ren when I first met him. Even though I know it's Beauty and the Beast retelling, we all know how it ends. But just the way that Bridget Kemmerer made the differences to the characters, it was still, I won't call it Grumpy Sunshine because she's not really a sunshine kind of gal. Let's not talk about Grey. All I'm going to say is Grey. Absolute bean. I'm not okay. Anyway, King of Battle and Blood was the next one, 5 stars. I read this last year, and if you've been watching my vlogs for a while, you know that I gave this one 3 stars last time I read it. And you're probably thinking, why the big turnaround? I think that I was not paying attention when I read this. I read part of this and I'm like, was this even here last time? Has someone come into my home and slipped these pages in? I didn't know about this, because I can't remember reading this last time. I must have just zoned out, and I don't know why. I got the audiobook for this as well this time round. Might have been what made a difference. This follows a girl, what's her name? Isolde Delara. The back does say Isolde Delara considers her wedding day to be her death day. To end a years-long war and protect the people of Kingdom, she is to marry a vampire king, Adrian Alexander Vasiliev, and kill him. This amazing guy, this really cool vampire evil guy, has started taking over these lands, obviously, as vampire kings do. And he normally just takes what he wants, takes over, and does whatever. But the king of this land tried to negotiate with him and say, like, I'll give you, try to make some kind of truce or deal with him. What he didn't know was that the guy was being like, I want to marry your daughter. The king was like, no. But Isolde was like, it's in my realm, my land. Yes. But then she plans to kill him. You know, enemies to lovers. This is smut rating. I think I rated it a 4. Did I rate it a 4? There's no dildo emoji, so I used aubergines. 4 aubergines. The aubergine-ness starts quite early on because there's a scene where she very quickly, I think this is the only thing that was just like a bit OTT, is just that we all know vampires have this allure. It's common in every single vampire type book, but as soon as she meets this guy, there's this connection. It kind of is explained later on why there's this connection, but she immediately goes back to her place, to her house, to her home, to her palace, and decides to get a bit more comfortable with herself while thinking about him. So there's that happens near the beginning of the book, and when I first read that, I was like, oh, oh, this. Yeah, aubergine rating 4. 3.5, 4. I think there's bloodletting in this as well, so if you're not a fan of that, obviously vampires are involved. So, yeah. Another 5 stars. Amara and the Night Brothers. This is a reread for me. B.B. Alston, get this made into a film ASAP Rocky. I need this in my life. Amara is great. There's a girl called Amara who lives in a place called The Wood instead of The Hood, which I really like to play on that. And she is a young black girl who goes to a private school and is the outcast, and her brother's gone missing, and the world being as it is, they've assumed it's because of drugs. Her mum seems to have slightly given up on her brother a little bit and just been like, well, he was lying to us anyway, so we're just going to assume that he's gone and he was on drugs and that kind of thing, which, not a fan of. She's just like, no, Quentin would not do this. He's gone missing, something's gone wrong, and I'm going to find out, I believe that my brother was not on drugs, he was not doing anything illegal, and I'm going to find out exactly what's going on. And then she gets invited to the school supernatural, School of the agent, oh my god, what's it called? School of Supernatural Affairs? Agency of Supernatural Affairs? The Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. She gets an opportunity to work for them. It goes from there. I'm not going to tell you much more than that because you probably already read it. And if you haven't, why haven't you? This was out last year. The second book is already out. Get with the times, people. 5 stars. Brilliante, not smutty because it's a middle grade. And then we have Mooncakes. This is the cutest little graphic novel. I just love graphic novels. Like, look at the artwork. Can we just appreciate artwork, please? Artwork is just Shemaze balls. This, oh, drop in the note. This was kindly gifted to me after my surgery by Shell. So thank you so much, Shell. I absolutely adored this. This follows a witch called Nova. Little Nova. Isn't she adorable? Yeah. Something's occurring in her little village, and she follows reports of a white wolf that's been lurking around. I can't really say much more than that because it's a really short graphic novel. It's queer. There's a non-binary character in here. Brilliant. Just cute, short, sweet, queer, wholesomeness. Amazing. Brilliant. 100%. 100%. 10 out of 10. And then we have Babel. We have the beautiful Fairlead edition of Babel. I don't know what accent that was, but oh, look at the edges. Look at these spread edges. Robin was taken from Canton by this elusive professor who was not a nice guy. Don't like him. And he trains him and teaches him all these fancy things so he can get into Babel and be a scholar at Babel. And initially Robin's like, oh my god, you've given me, you might not be the greatest person in the world, you might not be the most comforting, but I'm gonna be grateful for this because you took me away from my living situation in Canton. He was orphaned and it wasn't the best. He was appreciative of everything that this professor gave him. I can't remember his name now because he's an arsehole, so I don't want to remember it. But he meets a group of friends. These are the friends. These are the friends. This is his other friend. And this is Robin. He's so cute. I can't remember the names of his friends now. All the names have gone out of my head. But I definitely want to reread and tab this. Maybe not this edition. I have the Waterstones edition up there that just has black edges. I might tab that. I did tab this initially because me and Danny buddy read it. 5 stars. It's so good. Took twists and turns you don't expect. Once again, R.F. Kuang smashed it out of the park and it's totally different to the Popper series, which I'm also currently reading. And Jesus Christ, on a bicycle, my heart is breaking. It's another one of those ones. It's like dark academia. It's very slow and atmospheric. It's just so good. So good. I would highly, highly, highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Love on the brain. Becca will be happy that I read this. Becca was happy that I read this. And Becca was also happy that I gave this 5 stars. I did also read Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero, the novellas. It's so good. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to say this. Objectively speaking, it's not the most amazingly well-written book. It's not some literary, masterpiece. It's not. It's just a fun, fresh, funky, fine time following. It's slightly smutty. It's probably not, the most smutty thing I've ever read in my life. It's probably maybe a 2 or 3 smut level on the aubergine scale. It follows B and Liam, and the characters are similar to Olive and Adam Carlson in The Love Hypothesis, but do we care? No. Was it still a rocky good time? Yes. Does she need to mention consistently how large Liam is? No. Compared to little or B, she doesn't need to consistently mention that. Does it detract from the book? For me, no. I still really enjoyed it, had a good time. Will reread all 3 books when Love Theoretically is out. And I will probably reread Love on the Brain before then. Just like I probably reread Love Hypothesis and tab it. Because, why? Because we can. And if we fucking can, we do. Do you know what I mean? I say we don't need the negativity in our lives. And I'm going to be giving you a DNF and a 1-star rating next. These are my first October reads. And we're going to get through these because there's 22 books. So I'm going to try and get through these as quickly as possible. So, Witches of Asher Ruin. This is a soft DNF for now. This was kindly gifted to me by Kendra last year for my birthday. But you'll see from the vibes I'm giving you from the rest of what I was reading. If you've read this, you probably know that this is quite a calm, atmospheric, sort of chill book about witches. It's not overtly like kind of magic. It's very subtle. The main character does have somatic OCD, which I think, again, rep in the book. It's very interesting, and how it's shown. I couldn't get into it. I was bored from like the first couple of pages, but I was also reading them the same time that I was reading. I'd just come off reading Amari, I think, in The Great Game, and I was reading something else. Yeah, it was a lot. I was reading a lot of books that had very quick sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but this just wasn't the vibe at the time. I'm not going to unhaul this. I'm going to give this another go when I have more chill time. And I'm down for some chill, cool, calm, collected, atmospheric reads. And then I'm going to go to the 1 star. Is it a 1 star? No, these are both DNFs. But I don't know why I rated one 0 stars and one 1. I didn't know you could have a 0 star. But anyway, this was a DNF as well. Again, not the vibes that I was looking for. I know that not every Witcher book is going to be like high drama. And there are going to be some books that are more low-key vibes and just chill and just, they are what they are. They just are. I'm finding that those kinds of books are probably not for me. That one definitely isn't. The Witches of Ashton Ruin, I'm going to give another go. But that one was just not the one. It wasn't. I can't even remember what everything was about now. I only got 109 pages through that one. I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't interested. I didn't really care. It wasn't really witchy. It was just not great. It was not great. It wasn't the vibe. So, I did have quite a few 4 stars as well last month. It's 4 stars. Mystery of Black Hollow Lane. I enjoyed this. It was a good, quick, middle grade. A young girl that shifted off to a place called Wellsworth Academy because her dad seemingly just disappeared and abandoned them years prior. I'm not a fan of the absent mum in this. I don't know why books need to do it. I get it's part of a plot point, but a mum's a therapist or child psychologist. Why is it that as well that in any book or film or series that I've seen that has a woman that's a child therapist or a child psychologist, they're just not all that great at parenting themselves, or like they're totally oblivious to the goings on with their own child. It's frustrating, but it didn't detract from the story. I'm just saying it's an annoying thing that people like to do. But she meets 2 friends and they go on an adventure to find out the secrets behind a society of Black Hollow Lane. I gave this 4 stars. It was really good. I am interested in picking up the sequel. Next we have Waking the Witch. This is a book by Rachel Burgess, not part of the series with the Twisted Tree and the Crooked Mask. It is a standalone, I think, as far as I'm aware. It's a standalone. But this follows a girl called Ivy who is an orphan and she works in a museum at the beginning of this, and she knows that she was adopted, but she goes on a quest to find out more about her mum and more about some things that are going on with her, and it follows that kind of storyline. And then the guy that comes along for the ride. That is not a pun. This is YA, people. YA. The reason why this got 4 stars and not 5 is because I didn't really need the romance element of this. Wasn't needed. I was really happy with the story without this. Liked Ivy as a character for the most part. And I know that obviously certain decisions she had to make because of plot, do you know what I mean? But some decisions that she made, I was kind of like, cringe, stop. There was just that element of romance that I could have done without. And I just didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed The Twisted Tree. Once again though, Rachel Burgess knows how to make your spine tingle, giving you the eerie vibes, creepy vibes. The descriptions of the creatures and in this, even if there's nothing there, the way that it's written, it makes you feel like there's something there watching you and just, it gives you the, oh god, I don't like being here, but also I'm very interested. Do you know when you watch a film through your fingers like that, like, I don't want to know, but I want to know? This is what Rachel Berge does with her writing. The fantasy elements were great. Obviously, witchy things, brilliant. I used this for a prompt for Royal Readathon as well, which was Ursula. Book with magic or witches. And there was witches. The only thing that I could have done without was the romance element. I would have just been happy to follow her on her journey. And maybe it be a platonic relationship with this guy. I don't mind a guy being in the book. Just doesn't necessarily need to be romantic all the time. Next up, we have Witches of Brooklyn. And this is such a cute middle grade. There is a series of these. You can't get them off Amazon anymore. You have to buy them second hand. But I will be buying them. Because she is so cute. This is Effie. And I think she's orphaned as well. Oh my god, what is it with me reading books about orphans? There's quite a few books I've mentioned in this video about people being orphaned. I've got issues. But yeah, she's orphaned and she's sent to her auntie, and initially she's very much like, ugh, don't be here, whatever, go away. And then things happen, things occur, and it's just really wholesome and cute, and just, it's great. It's great. I would highly, highly recommend. It's quite thick for a graphic novel, but it's definitely worth it. I would highly recommend. Next we have The Crooked Mask. This is the second book in the duology. I don't know what the series is actually called. Just as Best-selling author of The Twisted Tree. But this is a follow-up. This directly follows on from The Twisted Tree. There's a girl called Martha who fell from a tree in the first book, and that's all I can tell you about this one. I will get to The Twisted Tree in a second and explain what that is. But this is the second book of the series. This got 4 stars because, again, I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. And again, romance element wasn't really needed. It's just vibes. All I'm going to say is vibes. I didn't know who done it in this either. I didn't. I'm maybe basic, but I didn't. She does this good thing of like throwing you onto one person, then throwing you onto another, then throwing you onto another. Maybe I'm easily led, but we just appreciate the cover on this as well. Like the matte-ness along with the shininess, and it was just great. I would highly recommend anything from Rachel Berge. This was a mythology prompt. If you don't like anything too scary, even if you do, but you want something a bit like light airy, but that has good descriptions of the creepy things that really make you think and imagine what these creepy things look and feel like and blah, then Rachel Berge is for you. It's YA, so it's not too gory, but it gives you just enough spook to make your spine tingle. I think that's quite an accurate representation of Rachel Berge's writing, but so good. Next up, we have Malice by Heather Walters, and I rated it 4 stars because, in case you didn't know, this is a queer retelling of Sleeping Beauty, like well, not really Sleeping Beauty retelling, it's like a different story between Aurora and Maleficent, and I loved the take on it. I really did. It only got 4 stars from me because I don't do half stars. It probably would have got 3.5 if I did half stars. One thing I did like about it was her storytelling. It did focus a little bit too much on Maleficent or Alice being treated badly. I had suspicions about where this was going, but I didn't know where this was going 100%. I didn't really want it to go that way because I wanted a happy ending, but I kind of knew that there wasn't going to be a happy ending because this is a villain origin story and why she embraced her villainous side. But, you know, I can still hope for a happy ending. It was good. The storytelling was great. Character building. There was characters you really, really hated, and it's really, really, really well written. It did take a while to get into the main action of the story. Once it got into it, it was kind of like yeah, but it took a while to get there. And I know it's a duology, so it needed to not just jump into the action straight away, but it could have started a bit earlier and could have been a little bit more tension building near the end, and like, what gonna happen? Once it happened quite quick. That's what she said. Next up, we have The Coldest Touch, and again, this was more 3.5 than a 4, and I'm probably going to unhaul this. I enjoyed it. It was good. I enjoyed the queerness of it. I just didn't. There was something missing. Did I give it a 4 after all? I don't know. I'm giving it a 4 anyway. The rating's out there. It's in the ether. It's okay. It was just very forgettable. Elisa's brother died and she couldn't prevent his death. When she judges people, she sees how they die. When her brother dies and she can't prevent it, she makes it her mission to get rid of this gift. Or she doesn't call it a gift, but to get rid of it. And then she meets Claire, who, for reasons, has been told to find her and get her to train to use her gift. And yeah, there's a battle of wills, and I do love a good smutty or romance book, but in this the romance just wasn't needed. I could kind of understand why the romance did develop, and if you've read it you know why. And this is not a non-voices review, so I can't speak on that. I did enjoy like the whole, you know, sapphic-ness of it, but it did seem like it was forced for the sake of just making it sapphic, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it without spoilers, but yeah, it didn't seem genuine, or it seemed a bit like, I want this book to be queer, so this is how I make it queer. It didn't need to be that way. And the one that was the highest 4 stars, almost 5, but not quite, was Gail, and mostly because of the length. It just needed, I could have done with it being a bit longer. This is dark, grim dark, gory dark, death cults, some cannibalism discussed, dragons, just gore and dark Arthurian retelling. Just the way that it's all weaved in, like British history weaved in with this fantasy world of like death cults, and nobody in this book is good. George is kind of okay, but you don't know who to trust. You kind of do root for some of the morally grey characters, even though you know you shouldn't. I can't really tell you much else about this, but Gail, I would not want to fuck with this dragon. I'd want to be his friend. If it told me to follow him and kill people for him, not gonna lie, I probably would, because I wouldn't want him to eat me. I would do his bidding. I would be part of this cult to avoid being eaten by this guy, this dragon, this thing, this evil being that just sounded disgusting. And his voice, oh my god, listen to the audiobook, because his voice, oh, it's just gives me the creeps, but in such a good way, because it's just an experience. It's an experience, is all I'm going to say. Pure, unadulterated greatness. I can't wait for book 2. I've got Baden Hill just on my shelf over there. I'm gonna read it soon. We're gonna move on to my 5-star reads while I finish off my makeup, and this will be me done for the month of June, of October. In no particular order. Blue Exorcist. This follows Rin Okamura. I think that's his name. This follows Rin Okamura, who finds out is a son of Satan. It's a fun time. Not only is he a son of Satan, he has special powers. He doesn't want to be the son of Satan. He decides, after some traumatic event, that he wants to defeat Satan. Doesn't want to embrace his heritage. Doesn't want to embrace Daddykins. He wants to defeat Satan. He wants to be the one to destroy him. Got a brother. He ends up attending a school to become an exorcist, and it just goes from there. Very, very good. I watched the anime series before reading the manga. I think it's fully completed now, 27 episodes, not 27, 27 volumes. The next one is City of Heavenly Fire. This was bought by the Angel along. I tell you, brilliant. It was 5 stars. A very fitting, concise, cute ending to the Mortal Instruments series, and I'm looking forward to continuing with Cassie Clare. And I'm just gonna move these around. If you don't know, I can't really tell you much about the City of Heavenly Fire because it's book 6 in the series. Mortal Instruments follows a girl called Clara who realises there is a world where demons exist. She goes on a wild ride. So yeah, if you haven't read any of the Mortal Instruments series, once again, objectively speaking, is it the best, most majestically well written book in the world? No, none of them are. But they're a good time, and I would recommend them. If you want just some fun, YA. Clara is a very, very annoying main character. Doesn't learn from her mistakes. Just seemingly likes to just be an idiot. So yeah, she gets on my nerves a lot. The main characters in the Infernal Devices are a lot better, but I still really enjoyed how this whole 6-book series wrapped up. So yeah, that's why I give it 5 stars. The next one, The Twisted Tree, which is the first book in the Georgia, the one that comes before the Crooked Mask. And this is when poor little Martha falls out of a tree. We meet Martha where she's going to find out why she's suddenly changed after falling out of this tree. This also fit the mythology prompt because Loki is mentioned, but not in the way like Marvel Loki is mentioned. Obviously still the god of mischief, but it's more in an eerie kind of way. Whereas Loki is the god of mischief in Marvel, and it's kind of like, yeah, but is he really the bad guy? In this, like, Loki's not mischievous in a funny haha way. It's kind of like a wrecking lives kind of way. There is a character in this one called Stig, and you never know whether you can trust him or not. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, like the whole mystery aspect of it, like who can you trust? Again, who is the bad guy? It's fun to find out who the bad guy is. She tries to find out what's going on with her. When Martha touches items of clothing, she can feel how the people have felt who's worn them, and different clothes give off different feelings, which can be confusing because it's not always 100% clear who these feelings are aimed at. And obviously the older the older the clothing item, the more feelings come with it. As we all know, human feelings are complex. Not all clothing is just owned by one person. So it doesn't only take in on the feelings of the current owners, but previous owners as well. So she goes to try and find a grandma to get answers, and it goes from there. Out of all the Rachel Bird books that I've read, that one is my favourite. It was the first one that I read by her, and it is my favourite. But next we have Gideon the Ninth. I bloody read this with Alice, and oh my god. They're not wrong when people say it's confusing. You don't know what's going on until the very end. This is a recommendation from Meg. I'd already got it off Chloe because I was looking and reading it anyway. The way that Meg was hyping this book up and like saying how much I need to read it, I could not. Like, Meg's not let me down with a recommendation yet. I had to give it a go, and I'm so glad I did. It was just, I don't understand. I don't understand. This follows Gideon, who is from the 9th house, and she's not a necromancer. She doesn't want to be there. I don't really know how to describe this book. It's really hard to give an overview of it, if I'm honest. All I can say is, it's not what you expect. The narrator is amazing. I would highly recommend getting the audiobook for this. You will be confused. You will, for the majority of the book. You will be very confused. Pick this book up because it is great. And the confusion is lifted at the end. You find stuff out, stuff goes down. I would highly, highly recommend this book. I can't really tell you much about it. I've given more in-depth thoughts on these books in my vlogs. So if you'd like to find more about my thoughts on these books, you can watch my vlogs. And I'm reading Harrow this month, so I'm very excited. I'm very excited for that. Next we have Amari and the Great Game. Oh my god, what can we say? I actually did forget part of what happened in the last book on this, because obviously everything goes down, you know, it all wraps up, but then there's a bit at the end of the book that sort of like leads up to what's going to happen in this book, and I forgot that bit happened. So I'm glad I reread Amari and the Night Brothers before I read Amari and the Great Game. I can't wait to see where it goes from here, because I'm just mind blown. Baby Alston pulled it out of the bag again, seeing old familiar faces. It was just a really cute read, and it does give you like wholesome friendship vibes, and there's like found family in this. Honestly, if you really enjoyed the Night Brothers, I am sure you will enjoy this as well. It was just a great follow-on, and I really can't wait for them to be made into films. Having this up on screen, and the world and everything, the way that B.B. Alston has just created the world in my brain, to put that on a screen, I can't wait to see it all. I just hope it's done well, so that it does him justice. He deserves it, because it's such a good book. Next up, House of Always. Now, if you have been following me and the girls on this journey, you'll know poor Kieran has been through the ringer, and we're not getting any reprieve in this book at all. This is the 4th book in the Chorus of Dragons series. Jen Lyons, why would you do this? We don't know whether Kieran is destined to save the world or destroy it. We still don't know on book 4. I am more confused now in book 4 than I was in book 1. I am less sure of where this is going. I don't think it's going to go the way that I would expect it to go. I don't know. It's just, every time I think it's going to go one way, it just switches and goes another. So as much as I would want a certain ending to happen and a certain situation to occur, I'm not sure that it will, because so far I've just been thrown off at every single turn. Every turn it's stressful. But really, really excited to get onto Discord of Gods. I just don't know what's going on. But we have done live shows. Myself, Chelsea from Non Secret Bookaholic, and Kay from A Picture of Happy. We have been doing live shows on all the books, and as part of that, it's all about Fantasy Book Club. So if you would like to know our very confused thoughts on the series so far, then please feel free to, I will link Chelsea's channel down below with switch between mine and her channel for the books. I'm really excited to find out how this is going to end. I think the only one of these I gave 4 stars to was book 2. The rest I've given 5 stars to. Jen Lyons is on for a 5-star overall series for me. I missed off a 4-star read. I finally finished Priory. Yay for me. Give a round of applause for me. This was a 4-star read for me. It was still very good, and I'm glad that I started from the beginning again, because once again I did the Lisa thing and zoned out. I did so much of this that I can't remember. I don't know what happened. Like I don't know how I missed it. I was obviously not paying attention, and I don't know why I wasn't paying attention, but I wasn't. But yeah, 4 stars. I'm going to bring to you my final 2 books of the month, and I think, other than Blue Exorcist, obviously, these are my favourite. One is surprisingly my favourite, and the other is not surprisingly my favourite. So the first one is Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This was a gem wreck, and this was a part of my vampire vlog, which I still haven't finished filming yet because I still haven't finished my 3rd book. I really, really enjoyed this. This was Southern Housewives. It was very Stepford Wives, Desperate Housewives, small town, small southern town, gated community situation where there was a lot of sexism, racism, classism. I'm not describing it the best, but we follow Patricia, who is a very frustrated housewife whose husband is very absent. She's looking for something thrilling. There was a trope that I thought was going to happen in this, it didn't, which I'm glad. But she kind of becomes a bit obsessed with this new guy in town for reasons. It was so good. It wasn't what I expected it to be. The vampire side of it isn't as prominent as more what she goes through throughout the book. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to give too much away, but this was so good. My first Grady Hendrix book, and my first 5-star of something outside of my comfort zone, I think. And then to top it all off, The Other Ones by Fran Hart. This is the cutest, wholesome, queer ghost story that you don't expect. The twist in this you don't see coming, and if you say you do, you're lying. It was a ghost story that I didn't expect. There's this follows a boy called Sal who something's recently happened, and he's trying to make his way through high school or secondary school, whilst navigating some personal problems. And then along comes Pax. Pax is just a cinnamon roll. He is the kind of character that gives zero fucks what anyone else thinks. He's just purely himself. He is an unadulterated, no filters, no hold bars weirdo, and he owns it, and I just adore that. Adore that. Sal is an angsty teen, but not overly dramatic with it. It's me, Becca and Jem did a full discussion on our podcast about this. I will link it down below. And just to be aware, anything we discuss in the podcast is spoilers. It's just so good. So good. And it's short, and it's so much is packed into this, and there's discussions to be had. The teen representation and the different representation, like a queer relationship and stuff, it's not what you would expect from a YA. I urge you to read this. Even if you're not into YA, maybe get it on Kindle. I'm not sure if it's available on Kindle Unlimited if you don't buy the physical copy, but it is only like £8. So it follows Sal, Dirk, Elsa and Pax. They are an unlikely group of friends, and it's really heartwarming. There is some things about this that frustrated me, but in a good way. Things are addressed, things aren't just left. Do you know when something happens in books and you read it and you're like, why are people not addressing that situation? What is going on? It's addressed. So things aren't just skimmed over, they have discussions about stuff. And that's what I like about this book as well. Please go check it out and let me know how much you love Pax and Sal. And that's all I need to know. This is a very long video. This is a finished look. I'm going to go film my Christmas videos now, or some of them, when I can work out which ones I want to do. And then I will be having to edit all this. Ugh. I'll try and squish this down as much as possible, but this was 2 months wrap up. And I did ramble a lot. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you like the videos like this, the Books on the Beat videos aren't normally this long. It's normally monthly wrap-ups, but I missed a month, like I said, so I just gave it you all at once. But so far this year, the majority of what I've read has been really good. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really fun. And I just hope that the last part of my year goes well. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I'll see you soon. If you do like these videos, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and leave me book recommendations down below. There's a Google form in the description. I appreciate any recommendations. I will be doing full reviews on any books that you recommend in that Google form. And yeah, thank you very much again for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.
You in the backyard of your old farm in the summer.